Okay, how's that? Can someone tell me how it sounds, etc., etc.? I'll be. I'm now on the internal mic of the Mac. Does it sound better? Does that sound better? Okay, cool. I had a feeling it was going to sound terrible first thing because we haven't had time to try it. Because obviously, normally, Paul and I would chat some before and iron out any problems. Clearly, there are problems, therefore, we'll crack on. It was with great sadness yesterday that we found out about the death of Rolling Stones drummer Charlie Watts. I appreciate we're a guitar channel, really, but hey, Charlie was an absolute legend. He'd already signed himself off the up and coming Rolling Stones tour. But very, very sad news. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie, his family, the band, of course. But hey, I mean, we're losing them like flies at the moment. It's ridiculous. Anywho, let's carry on. Q&A special tonight, as I said, or as I nearly said. I'm going to do my very best to work my way through all the messages that come up and stuff like that. Paul is on holiday. He'll probably log in at some point. I bet he can't resist. So let's go through the shout outs quickly. Hello, Shabar. Great to see you. K. Michael P's in the house. Sorry, we have no control over what happens before we go live. That's all done by StreamYard. Funnily enough, there is a kind of a StreamYard summit coming up. I will probably suggest that we have some control over what happens first. So music is a great idea because there is nothing worse than going in absolutely cold. Hello, Michael. Great to hear from you. Safey's in the house. Dave Stockton's in. Sound was terrible. Yes, we've fixed that, hopefully. Shep's in. Shepard's in. Me doing my best Dalek impression. Sorry about that. We seem to have fixed it. Who else is in? Who else is in? Lee Abrams in. Chris is in. Great to see you, buddy. Yes, I think we're off and running. So put your questions into me. I'll do my very best. It could be music related. It could be guitar related, bass, drums, anything you like. Production, recording, pretty much anything you fancy. So get your questions in. If you want to come and join me in the show, I put the link up. I'll post the link again because, hey, we can. That's the link. Join me in the show if you can. It'd be really cool to have you on. Right. One thing I want to talk about quickly is that somewhere during last week's show, I think I sort of threatened to go and spend some money. And I have. And I'll tell you what, I have bought myself this baby. This is the new baby Headrush board. This is the MX-5. And I tell you what, for 470 UK pounds, this thing gives the Neural DSP Quad Cortex a serious run for its money. Now, I do have a soft spot for all things 11 rack. For those of you who don't know, Headrush bought the IP, the intellectual property, from Avid. When Avid were doing what they do so well, which is sell off all their good stuff, they sold off the rights to the 11 rack brand. Headrush bought it and have so far made 3 pedal boards. There's the pedal board, the big one, the rig board, the kind of slightly smaller one, and there's now the baby, the MX-5. This thing is brilliant, absolutely stonking. And the reason I liked it out of the box was because there's no latency. There's no perceivable latency. Even with the Quad Cortex, I'm feeling something through headphones. However, what this, the new Zoom, the Quad Cortex all suffer with is absolutely horrendous presets. The presets out of the box are just horrible, completely unusable. And I've spent a couple of hours today just doing 5 or 6 of my own presets. A lot of them actually copied from my original 11 rack presets. It's a shame you can't drag them from one unit to another, sadly. But sonically, this thing's brilliant. It's every bit as usable and as user-friendly as the 11 rack. It's tiny, it's backpackable. Very, very good piece of kit. I can't remember who said, are you going to be making some videos on the new Headrush MX-5? I will be. This thing's brilliant. And genuinely, for under 500 quid, this gives the Quad Cortex a serious run for its money. To the point where I'm thinking, do I really need the Quad Cortex in my life with that much complexity? When this thing, it has a quad processor in it, like the Quad Cortex. This thing sounds awesome, in my opinion. There'll be a video coming shortly. It'll be next month now, purely because I've backed up with other stuff from having a holiday, you know, having a life. How dare I? A very, very cool piece of kit. So some questions are coming in. So let's dive in. I'm going to get rid of this thing. And Danny T says, any thoughts on selling the multi-tracks of the Studio Rat songs? I'd love to have a go at mixing them. That's a tricky one, because all the Studio Rats music thus far has been co-written between the Studio Rats, mainly Paul, and the singer-songwriter in question. In many cases, it's been Jack Rubinacci, or Abby, or Ralph, or Alex. Sure, it was Alex. The other people we've written with. It's not just our material. I think there's probably some legs in being able to give it away and put it in as some kind of, I don't know, a mix competition type thing, maybe. Get you to work for your prize, who knows? But we can't just give the stuff away, unfortunately, because it doesn't all belong to us. It is shared ownership between us, the Studio Rats, and the singer-songwriter we're working with. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Chantal Pereira says, I've noticed that I've started playing guitar with Paul's stance on YouTube and playing overdriven open chords. Nothing wrong with that. As Paul would call it, clean on the verge of breakup. Someone needs to take a drink. We're all playing live stream bingo. Paul has a very, don't tell him I said this, whatever you do, but he has a very lovely approach to phrasing on guitar. Some of his chords and chord progressions are absolutely stunning, but I didn't say that out loud. Therefore, yeah, move on quickly. Jahar says, I honestly believe most multi-effects units are overpriced. Do you know what? I think you're probably right. The only thing I would say is that, certainly with the Headrush, you couldn't buy the pedals that are in it for the price of the unit. And you know, there is the argument, of course, that it's modelled rather than the real thing. But certainly, I don't think you could buy the pedals for the same price, even the Chinese cheap knockoff ones, for the same price as you could the unit. I'm that impressed with it. I really, really am. Oh, hang on. Sorry, wrong person. Okay, Michael B. Shahar, just wait. The Chinese will take over. Everything will go up. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Lee Abrams says, menu surfing is my nemesis. Tweaking at gigs freaks me out. Yes, I agree with that. And there is something to be said for having pedals in front of you. But this thing has a very, very cool thing called rig mode, which means you can arrange your patches, your rigs, in order, change the order. Yeah, it's very, very cool. I'm really impressed with this thing. Videos will follow. And I tell you what, I knew he'd do it. I knew he'd do it. Here he is. Mr. Drew signed in. Where's the incredibly hot, bold bloke? He's on holiday, mate. Nice to see you. I knew you couldn't resist it. So, yeah, get back to having a holiday and put that beer, actually pick the beer up, not put it down. Lee Abrams says, took me ages to get sounds I like out of the GT1, the Bosch GT1. Again, that one's for Paul. I've not used the GT1. We're giving one away at the minute. I'm not sure how that competition's going, but it'll be fairly shortly, I think. We'll probably give it away in the next week's show, because it'll be the first of the month. So, yeah. I think presets, they seem to spend about 3.5 minutes on them. All you actually need with a guitar processor preset is, well, let's follow the Paul Drew principle. We'll have a compressor, we'll have an overdrive pedal, we'll have an amp, we'll have a cabinet, we'll have a delay and a reverb, or a reverb and delay, depending on how you prefer it. That's a great place to start. You will make good sounds. Why they bother with all these crazy, off-the-wall, completely unusable sounds? There's a million sounds in this thing that are just rubbish, that are completely unusable. I have a theory, and it's not going to make me very popular with Headrush. I've just worked my way through most of the Headrush videos, the tutorial videos, to work out how to use this thing. And I think it's fair to say the guy in the videos is probably better at marketing than he's at guitar. And if he's done the patches, that could be why. Sorry, Brian, but not wonderful. And also, the unit does have a tuner in it. You might want to use that from time to time. Anyhow, this is way better without that Boldy. Well, I'm not going to say anything to that, Paul, so go back to your beer. Michael Horowitz says, I've purchased a new, for me, plug-in for drums, Sonox Drumgate. It's really good. Have you tried it? Yes, I have tried it. Sonox Drumgate is awesome. I don't entirely know how it functions, but actually for me, it works in a very similar way to the new Slate gate, the Slate drum gate, which is very, very cool. And actually the Slate one is cheap because you can get it as part of the all access pass. Shout out to Mr. Slate there. But yeah, Oxford Drumgate is amazing and does some incredible stuff and works really, really well. But of course, good mic techniques means you don't need to do all that stuff anyway. And Al Schmidt would never have put gates on drums. Anywho, K. Michael P says Paul who? Yes. Yes. Okay. Screenshotted. I think that was probably something to do with Paul appearing, but not appearing. That makes sense. Are you talking? So Michael MC says, are you talking Headrush MX-5? That's exactly what I'm talking about. I have it here. I will show it again. I am so impressed with this little thing. It's brilliant. It hasn't got all the connectivity in the universe, but it's got all the connectivity you're ever going to need on a gig. External expression pedal, effects loop, stereo outputs. It's awesome. It's genuinely brilliant. They've picked up the 11 rack technology and run with it. So yeah, lots more coming from that little box and me, hopefully very soon. Leon Barron says, any ideas on a cost-effective multi-effects for mixing? 3 parallel paths, fully wet, reverb, delay, modulation. Now, it's funny. I have been looking for a unit on eBay that, God, it's got to be 20-something years old now. The Ensoniq DP4. I remember back then going to music shows and trying this thing going, wow, this thing sounds cool. And it's got 4 completely independent stereo in or mono in, stereo outs. Or they can be combined into kind of pairs of banks of 2 or banks of 4. So you can have multi-effects or parallel effects. Sorry, in chain effects. Very, very cool piece of kit. They still seem to go for about 900 quid, but that's 900 quid for 4 amazing processors. So that might be something for you to have a look at. But of course, I want the first one that comes onto eBay at a reasonable price. They seem to be holding their value quite a lot at the moment. Other than that, quad or trio rack effects is quite a rare thing these days. The older kits seem to do it. Didn't Digitech do a thing called is it the DM4? Were there 4 processors in a rack? I'm sure there was something like that. I think it was Digitech. Yeah, those are the 2 that spring to mind. But I would certainly keep my eye open for an Ensoniq DP4. Amazing piece of kit. 2U, really, really good quality effects. Stephen James, why don't the pedal manufacturers put standard presets on most that most guitarists want, Fender, Marshall, etc., other than making us create it? I completely agree. Why don't they do that? I think they could even go as far as putting Strat clean, Strat OD, Strat lead, Les clean, Les OD, Les lead. They could go that far. P90 clean. They could go that far. I think maybe we should. Maybe we should do some presets for this thing and give them away on the site. That's a great idea. hold that thought, and I will desperately try and get some time in to do that. I like that idea. No, I haven't tried, Michael, again, I haven't tried the MX-5 into their FRFR speaker because I don't have one. They're ridiculously cheap for what they claim is a 2,000 watt speaker. That's 2,000 watt peak. It's not 2,000 watt RMS. It's probably about 350, 400 if we're lucky. It's a plastic Chinese box that probably sounds okay. But having just forked out for that thing, they haven't given it to me or anything like that. I might have to hold up on that. Paul's got an FRFR cab we could try when he gets back. Yeah, maybe let's try that on his. I want to do I want to take this thing for him to have a play with, because I think he's going to make some amazing noises out of it. I've made some pretty good stuff so far, none that I can share because obviously we're having these audio issues. But we'll get there eventually. We'll fix it and see what happens. Dave McQuillan says, good evening, James. Hope you are well. I am well, having a very good week, if not somewhat warm in the house this week. My little ones are still off school, so it's very loud and not managing to get much quality work done. But hey, that's the school holidays for you. Lee Abram, sorry, my comments were linked. I set my sounds up at home, then take the gigs at a loud volume. Sounds totally different. And have to start tweaking. The automatic amplifier was awful for menus. The Headrush stuff has a graphic, a master graphic on the output section of the whole unit, like a master all-seeing, all-dancing graphic. So yes, you can get around those sort of minor issues. I mean, if you end up finding that somewhere's so boomy, you end up rolling all the bass out of everything, of course that's an issue. But I'm really impressed with this thing. It's so cool. K. Michael P says, Baldy who? Yes. Moving on. Speaking of Charlie Watts, 10 or IO? Not sure. No, hang on. Speaking about Charlie Watts, I'm not too familiar with the Rolling Stones, just the hits. Do they have an album that stands out in terms of production quality? It's going to sound terrible, but I'm not a huge Rolling Stones fan. It's one of those, yeah, likewise, I know the hits, and I've got Hot Rocks Volume 1, 2, 3, the greatest hits albums. But I don't know. I mean, say for me, the modern ones sonically sound better. It's the Rolling Stones. They've not worked with anyone bad ever. So just check out some of the early stuff. Hit up a Rolling Stones playlist on Spotify. They're going to be crawling out the woodwork now, unfortunately, just because these sort of things happen. So yeah, just check some out, see what you like. Let us know what you like. Let me know what you like, and I will check it out as well, because say I am very undereducated as far as the Rolling Stones. Leon says, legend, thank you. We do our best. Or tonight, I'm doing my best. Lee Abrams says, Steel Wheels was on the rock chart forever back in the day. There you go. We will check that one out. Now I'm really confused, because he's clearly logged into the Studio Rats page and is trying to catch me out with any gear news. And the answer is, mate, I don't have any gear news, because that's normally your gig. This is a Q&A special. So there. Yeah, nothing out there as far as I can tell, but you're the one with all the links and all the fingers in all the news-based pies. I'm just the monkey who presses the buttons. Daniel King says, have you ever tried the MI Effects Super Crunch Box? No, I haven't, but I like the idea of it. I like something of doing a bit crunchy and dirty. Daniel, let us know what it's MI Effects. I'm guessing they're the company. Let us know if you know how to get hold of one, and we'll do our best to grab one of them. I'm not going to put up the next two because you're just being offensive. I'm doing my very best here to get through tonight. I thought, no, we won't leave them another 2 weeks without a show. We'll go and we'll do some Q&A stuff. So there. K. Michael P says, Ruby Tuesday was one of the best produced tracks of the Stones. I've got a soft spot for Sympathy for the Devil just because I love the groove and the fact that it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and just, you know, it's just an amazing track. But yeah, Ruby Tuesday's got a lovely thing about it. Satisfaction, I think, was the first Stones song I ever heard, and just went, I love this. I absolutely love this. I love the simplicity of it. That kind of that kind of nasal guitar tone, which sounds like a Vox or something very British, cranked up to the point where it really shouldn't be cranked. I'm going to post this one because he's saying nice things about me now. Thank you, Paul. Looking forward to having you back next week. Lots of stuff to talk about. Loads of cool stuff going on. Loads of gear arriving. I also mentioned last week that I was on the lookout for a Johnson J station. Paul had done his... oh, hello. Oh, hello. He can't help himself, can he? You just can't help yourself, can you?
I can't help it. No, you were. You're doing a good job. You're doing a really good job. You're doing a lovely job.
You just can't help yourself. Where are you,
So
mate?
you might be able to see the six. I am in. Where are we? We are in Christchurch, not New
Very
Zealand,
nice.
Unfortunately.
That's Christchurch,
yeah,
the one next to Bournemouth.
Was that
Christchurch,
that's
the one
yeah,
next to Bournemouth?
Yeah, it's that sort of area. Yeah, just been out for dinner, had a couple of beers, so probably not my best form.
It's funny. I had a funny feeling you would join in.
I can't resist it. I just can't resist it. I just have to check what's going on.
Okay. Well, should we do some?
Yes,
should we carry on with the questions then?
Come on to see if... Yeah, go on. I can't see any, so you'd have to help me out.
I'll read them out.
I'll sit
we
down.
Read them out anyway. Dave Stockton says, "How are you getting on with the SSL UF8?" I like the UF8 very much. It is just there.
Question for you.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I had to give back the hardware controller, the MC1. Yeah, the plug-in controller. They wanted that back, and at the moment, I just couldn't justify it with building a new studio and stuff. So, yeah, it's all very cool. I like that thing very much. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to get your head around. Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely, if you're looking for a controller, a DAW controller, it is the way to go, I think, without going down the whole Yukon, Avid, I'm talking what they're called, all the S1, S4, the Presonus. They're all just a bit too confusing. Whereas for me, that thing just works. And I'm not a huge control service type of guy. I've used them all and hated most of them.
Thank you.
Where's mine?
Where's your... it's not here.
Oh, fair enough.
Fed and watered. It's amazing.
Awesome. Shahabar says,
I've got to be honest,
you know,
quite hard work.
What? What's quite hard work? Putting up with me?
It's quite hard work, sort of doing this on a little on an iPhone. I've got to be honest.
Well, you didn't have to sign in, but I knew you would.
Yeah, I can't resist it. Anyway, Shahabar says what?
Shahabar says, you know how sometimes you like the smell of your own. Is there any piece of gear that you like that you're embarrassed to share? Oh no! Do you know what? I have no qualms in sharing my embarrassment of my lack of embarrassment of this piece of gear. I love it. Michael Howitz will testify that he got this. He gave this to me. The Alesis wedge from probably the early 90s. I had one of these when they first came out because
it's got to be early 90s.
I loved the idea of having something that looked a bit like a Lexicon Lark on the console, but obviously isn't the same price as a Lexicon 480 or... Oh, he's gone. Good. This thing is cool because it genuinely has proper stereo ins and stereo outs. It's MIDI controllable, and it just sounds great. It's also got a really cool kind of tap impulse thing, which is a great snare drum. If you want kind of a dish, dish, really, really cool sound. That's my guilty pleasure, along with my 11 rack. I still love it. It just sounds great. There you go. Hopefully that helps. David Brose says, good to see you, buddy. Exile on Main Street, any track from Mick Taylor? Yeah, you're probably right again. That's probably regarded as one of the best produced Stones albums, isn't it? I think so, anyway. Dave Stockton again. I've got the UFA, love it in Logic, not so much in Studio One. I'm not a huge Studio One user. I'm a Pro Tools guy, so yeah. It works great in Pro Tools. It's got some weird things in Pro Tools, like you can't access all of the inserts and all of the sends, but to be honest, it's enough. It really is enough. K. Michael P, show us the family, show the family Paul. You can't because he's gone. He's had enough. He's had enough already. Safety says, Daniel M, Daniel, MI Crunchbox, nice pedal with many overdrive types, more than an 80s overdrive classic sound. Then the Dumble-ish, Klon-ish overdrives of today. That sounds cool. I like the idea of that. That does sound good, actually. I might have to check that one out. Paul is complaining, of course. It's cutting out. I'll stay in the comments. Yeah, great. Just leave me to chat on my own and talk to myself. Amazing. Of course, if anybody else wants to join in, here's the link. I'll post it again. Come and join us. Come and sign in and say hello. You can do it on your phone or on a laptop or anywhere. By the sea, apparently. It works quite nicely. Any more questions? Otherwise, this could be a really, really short show. Normally, I talk about what I've been doing this week. I have been working with the lovely people at Antelope Audio, making some more videos for their YouTube channel. They've kind of left me to my own devices of late, so I just kind of get on and make plug-in videos, like 5-6 minutes on. This is an X processor. It sounds like this. It does this, and it makes nice things sound nice. So yeah, hopefully that counts. Other than that, obviously it's school holidays at the moment, so it's kind of difficult to get any real quiet work done. Been playing more drums as well, inflicting my neighbours with some more stuff. Got some new clients over in the States, which has been quite nice. My neighbours realised they really don't want to contest my planning application for the new studio, so I've just been reminding them that that's going through. Shahar Bar says, oh, it's all moved again. In my humble opinion, the best recently produced album that floored me was, I'm going to mess this up on it. Deluged in the Deluged, Mars Volta. Okay, not one I'm aware of. Deluged in the yes, Comatorium. Yes, fine. Not one I'm aware of, but I have just copied it and I am going to check it out because I'm like that. I'm always looking for new music. Yes, John, we weren't going to do tonight. Then I thought I'd fly solo and just see what happens. So Paul's on holiday. Here I am. Ask a question if you like. Yeah. Shahar says, Rick Rubin. Yes, Rick has produced and worked on a fair number of pretty epic albums. I think we can all agree. Peter Lambert says, hi, Windows USB audio interface, UAD Twin, Antelope Discrete 4 or RME Babyface, thoughts please. Okie dokie. So the Antelope Discrete 4, I have the 8 somewhere and it's great, works really well USB on PC. The UAD Twin I've had, you are of course getting all that lovely UAD processing power, the UAD loveliness. You of course do get with the new Antelopes their Synergy Core platform, which is really powerful. That's the videos I've been making this week. RME Babyface, the RME stuff is bomb-proof. The drivers are always excellent. I've never ever had an RME interface fall over, crash, die. They are absolutely bomb-proof, but you do pay the privilege for that level of attention to detail. The German technology, yeah. They are quite the same, but those three are obviously all in the same sort of budget, but they are quite different connectivity-wise. For me, connectivity is always king. Go with the Antelope. I know it. I love it. It sounds really good as well. It sounds really clean. People say interfaces all sound the same these days. They don't. The RME stuff generally sounds very, very super clean. The UA stuff I always find works better for kind of, I call it smoky music, kind of bluesy, rocky, jazzy kind of stuff. Not uber clean. Still sounds great, but if you compare it to other stuff, you can hear a difference. The Antelope stuff for me, I don't think it's too harsh to say it's, how can I put this delicately? It sounds really, really good. It sounds amazing. Very clean, not very characterful, but it just sounds clean and you get a great recording with it. So I would go Antelope, but hey, I'm slightly biased. I do work for them. There, you heard it here first. Dave, just wondering which of any are your favorite electronic drum kits? I'm actually allergic to electronic drum kits. They bring me out in hives. That said, you have to go Roland. You just have to. They're the only kits that are actually built for being hit. I've used the Alesis ones, the Jalapeno, not Jalapeno, the two-box stuff. The two-box was okay. It's got to be the Roland stuff. Even the cheap stuff is really well made and not cheap, unfortunately. The Alesis stuff is, it's rubbish. It really is. It's not very good, if I'm honest. Try and find a second-hand Roland TD12 or something like that. Great kit. Then just trigger your samples from your laptop. That's the way forward. That's what I used to do. Works really well. Keith Axtell, reading today that Sweetwater has been sold to a capital investment firm. I haven't seen that. That's very interesting. I wonder if Mitch Gallagher will still be, hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Probably, because Sweetwater is very profitable. They are probably one of the only MI resellers or music resellers in the States that is profitable. Yes, looking at you, Guitar Center. I don't think that's a bad thing. Being sold to a capital investment firm normally means that some money be pumped into it. Do they need it? Probably not. Did someone want to get out in a hurry? Probably. Don't really know what that means. I'm not qualified enough to say, really. Keith, just to say though, very much enjoy playing drums on your track this week. You have nothing but praise on your guitar playing from me. Sounded great, because certainly compared to some of the stuff I get to play on, your stuff sounded great. So good work there, buddy. John Randall made a couple of cheap self builds during lockdown. Any suggestions for new pots and pickups for a Telecaster? Pots, do you know what? I really don't know. I'm not enough genned up on that sort of thing. But it's wrong to say that I used to go to Maplin for all those sort of bits and pieces. Apparently that's not the done thing. Pickups for a telly. A friend of mine had a telly with EMGs in, which sounded amazing. And it sounded even better when the battery started to go and it went really crunchy on a gig. Yeah, I mean, depends how far out you're going. A telly with EMGs is going to be a great noise, or was a great noise. Safety says, James, will you go for any particular new outboard gear for the studio, for preamps or mastering gear? If so, which ones? I would very much like an SSL Fusion, because I had one of the first ones in the country for a Production Expert demo. You can find my video for that on Production Expert. Loved it, wanted to buy it. They said, no, you can't, because we don't have any to sell. And for one reason or another, never got back in touch with the SSL guys and got one back. I'd very much like one of those. I'd like the new, now, not again, another thing I've reviewed and played with is the Neve, the AMS Neve reverb, the 2500 series module reverb, which sounds absolutely incredible. I love that thing. The I/O was a bit weird, how it uses the inputs on the back of the 500 series rack, but what a noise! Absolutely phenomenal sounding thing. So that'll be my two things. I think I'd go for the AMS Neve. I want to say SR16. I can't remember the model number, but it's their 500 series reverb and the SSL Fusion, because I'm a great believer in trying stuff, and if you like it, then buy it. I've tried both of those. I got really good responses. I'm going to buy them at some point. The thing I would really like is the Dramastic Audio Obsidian, the SSL bus compressor. I had one of those for about a month, and then had to give it back. Was like, no, I don't want to give this thing back. It sounded so good. I just couldn't make it sound bad, which for me is quite an achievement. Yeah, so those are my three. Those are the three things, but there's probably about, Dramastic's about $4,000, I think. Another grand or two for the reverb, and another grand for, yeah. Let me build the studio first. I've got enough kit to be going on with for a while. So, yeah, I'll get back to you on that one. Stephen James, at least his SR16 drum machine, 80s built, is still available new. It breaks the old technology, so it's outdated. Have you ever used one? Yes, I've used an SR16. Didn't realize they were still available. That's hilarious. Great unit. I'm not a great fan of drum machines, to be honest, because why do I need one when I've got a drum kit and a desk and mics and stuff? But yeah, back in the day, it was the drum machine to have. Everyone had one, and they sounded great. Sorry, got told off. Apparently, I'm on holiday. I did wonder how long it was going to be before you got told off, but hey. K. Michael P says, have a good holiday. See ya. Keith, you're very welcome. No problem at all. Joey's in the room. Joey Heshon's in the room. Potts, CTS 250K. There you go. What that man doesn't know about components of guitars and bits and pieces, I think he's got a guitar collection to rival David Gilmour. So yeah, check those out. John Randall, again, this is Ned Ward to John Randall. Lindy Fralin pickups. Stu Mac for CTS. Yes, there we go. Lots of love, clearly, for those CTS 250K pots, which is good. And yes, Texas Specials makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think Texas Specials what it should come with. We don't know. It's a homemade guitar, so yeah, go with what you know. Ned says, James, you're still enjoying the UA aux or looking for something different as an IR loader box for your amps? And how much or little do you still use your 11 rack? Well, I use my 11 rack for probably every single session, because for stacking up a billion guitars that are out wide and probably so far back in the mix it doesn't matter, the 11 rack's great for that. However, I'll show it again because it's that cool. This is the 11 rack replacement, the Headrush MX-5. It's the same processors, the same models, impulse responses. It's great. I absolutely love this thing. Videos to come when I get a moment to myself. There you go. The UA aux is great, again, for in an environment like this where I'm being very aware of trying to keep the volume down. Normally, I use cabinets and microphones. I've got the what's it called? I forgot the name. Quiet cabinet, Grossman cabinet that Paul sold me a little while ago. We technically swapped, I think, but that thing's great because it's got a real vintage 30 in it. I can put 3 microphones on it, and it sounds absolutely awesome. Very, very cool. I like that a lot. The UA is great. The thing I like about the aux over things like the 2 Notes and certainly the 2 Notes Studio, the Torpedo Studio, is you have relatively few choices to make. You know, you've got 10 to 15 cabinets, a few mics, a few effects. I don't need a gazillion different amps and cabs and IRs to choose from. I need some good ones. I need sort of 5, 6 good ones that I like. Aux is great for that. It just sounds really good. It works. And you can drive your amps nice and hard into it. still need to get the Marshall amp in there. I was actually at my storage unit the other day, and I thought I need to get my JCM 900 out as well and run that through. It will happen. I'll get to it eventually. Joey again says pickups. Duncan Antiquity 1s. Try listening to some Alinco 2s as well. A touch darkers and more bluesy. Nice. I like the sound of those very much. Hopefully there's some ideas for you. Dave Bruce is also Bruce Brooks even at John Randall is saying, did the 3PU telly build use Texas specials for the neck and the bridge, Duncan SL59 in the middle position? Ooh, went for the three-way. Sounds amazing. CTS pots. Okay, great. We like that. CTS pots getting a lot of love. I think that could officially be the way to go. Okay, Peter Lambert again says, thanks, James. Want the discreet so badly, but get told that Antelope are a nightmare for compatibility. No, not at all. Absolutely not. I think it's fair to say that Antelope are getting a bad rap because their support could have been better in the past. It's now very good. One thing people do say is, wow, you have to update your software a lot. That's actually a good thing because they actually keep bringing out new features and new stuff and fixing stuff. So, yeah, I don't think that updating the launcher software every so often and updating the drivers and firmware is a bad thing, because it means they keep giving you more and more functionality, some of which you have to pay for. Let's not go down that road. But yeah, I would go the Antelope route. I've not had a problem with compatibility. It works with Pro Tools. It works with most things I've tried it with. On a PC, it's absolutely fine. I wouldn't say that. I learnt my lesson a long time ago that I'm a terrible actor. So if I'm going to get up and on a video or on a trade show floor and say something's great, I genuinely need to believe it's great. And the Antelope stuff is great. Saying that, all the other stuff on your list was also great. But the Antelope gives you more in digital I/O, and I think more best bang for your buck. There you go. Paul, who? What? He'll be back next week. I know you miss him, really. You don't have to say it just for me. Tim Parker says, yes, the highs from the 500k pots in a single coil rattle the fillings out of your mouth. Okay, 500k impedance, I'm guessing. So a 250 could be the way forward. There we go. Thanks for all the suggestions, says John Randall. You are welcome, John. That is why we're here. Well, I'm here. John Partridge says, have you ever tried the EchoFix EFXT X2 tape echo? Thinking of selling my pedals and buying one. No, I haven't, but I like the idea of that. It's funny, there are a couple of reverb and delay processors that I really, really like in software. One of which is the Binson Echo Rec by Brain, French company. Can't remember the name of them, but just check out Binson Echo Rec. Really, really cool sounding plugin. If you want it, it's instant Floyd. It's amazing. And the other one is the McDSP EC300, I think is the name. Really, really cool reverb plugin for your DAW. It sounds awesome. Paul loves it, I know. Really, really cool sounding plugin. So yeah, check those out if you're after something. I've not tried this actual hardware unit, but I love the idea of I actually do have a real tape echo back there, which Paul and I are going to do a video on when he gets back. It's an old 1950s Selmer valve tape echo. It's only got 3 heads, so it's not quite as desirable or as collectible as the copycat, the Watkins copycat. But oh my god, it is so, so cool. KMLP, John, Texas specials are not standard but hot. They're custom shop. Okay, I assumed they were the standard these days, but clearly not. So out of touch. Safety says, have you looked at the T-Rex replicator? No, but I like the idea of that one as well. Oh, that's the John Partridge. There you go. No, I haven't. Are they still making it? Yes, they are. It's amazing. I'm just rattling through these things. Peter Lambert says, cheers. Cheers, James. Andertons are including the Edge solo mic. Great shout, then. Go with that. The Edge mics and the modeling microphones, whether you, and again, I've said this before on many a podcast or article, whether you like the modeling microphones or you use them doesn't matter. The fact that you have them available and the fact that we're talking about them means they're a real thing. I think the Edge Solo, I've got one on my floor tom back there. It's a great sounding mic. It does suffer with proximity effect, like a proper U87 or U67 wouldn't do, because it's only a single diaphragm. But let's get over that for a minute and just use the models. They sound great. What I tend to do is record clean, and then I'll just play through, flick through the models until I find the one that sounds the best. I don't even care what it is. I don't care what the model is. I'm just listening for what I think sounds best. That's, for me, the way forward. Bruce Brooks again, at John Randall. On my 3 pickup telly build, I also put a Bigsby and a roller bridge. Amazing build. Check out ticks all the boxes. I like that. A telly with 3 pickups and a Bigsby. It's kind of not a telly anymore, is it? Ned Ward, telly tip. Lich hum cancelling pickup guard. I like the idea of that. Miracle that doesn't change tone. It's available for Strats, though sold through Lindy Fraylin. Not involved with them, but they're on my Avery 62 telly, and no hum is best. I agree. I might have to look them up because that sounds quite a lot of fun. Keith says, have you tried the Warm Audio mics? Yes, we have. The Studio Rats did a video for Warm Audio a couple of weeks ago. That's up, where we recorded the entire track on one mic. I think it was the Warm, I want to say the 87, the 87R, the new version. But we've done stuff with all of their mics. I've got most of them. I've got the original 87s, a pair of those. Great for overheads, great, just normal workhorse mic. I really don't know how the guys at Warm Audio do it, because they make some great stuff. It's very competitively priced. And to be fair, you put it up against the real thing. The only thing I would say is if you buy a pair of vintage 87s, 67s, whatever you can afford, with a Neumann badge on, they're probably not going to sound the same. A matched pair of mics from back then is not a matched pair because they wear differently. That the component tolerances were, could be 10% out. Whereas a modern pair of mics, a modern pair of Warm 87s are going to sound pretty close to the point where, well, I would challenge a human ear to hear the difference for a matched pair of overheads or for a stereo recording. The Warm stuff is great. I've got a lot of it. I've got a lot of the hardware and the software. You can probably just about see I'm starting to collect the racks now with some the old toys, the existing toys, to get ready for the new patching system, the X-Patch 64, the CB Electronics X-Patch 64. Paul's done a video on the 32. That's the 64, the big one. My plan is to have an insert on every channel of the console going into that, so I can actually patch anything to anything in software. Very, very cool. Joey's back on again and says, for telly, also cool is the Duncan tapped telly Jeff Beck set. The bridge has an extra second coil under the first, and that set comes with a 5-way telly switch. So the bridge pickup remains a true telly single coil, but can engage the extra coil wind, changing it from 7x output to a 9x output. Like a built-in boost, if you will, or added spanky grit. Yeah, I have this on a limited 51 telly. Make from 200, made from 200-year-old pine, and wow, I like the idea of that. I think I've seen that guitar and I liked it. I think. John Partridge, is that a Synergy amp in the background? Any good? Yes, it is. I love it. I think Paul and I bought it from Paul. I swapped it from Paul. He had my UA, mic pre, and compressor, and I wanted that. I've got about 5 modules for it now. It's very, very cool. I've got the Soldano, which is probably my go-to most of the time. I bought the Steve I one, the green one, because that's very, very cool. Really good clean, really good super dirty. Dumble, the I think I've got the Engel one, and I've got the Friedman one. Very, very cool modules. I will say though that the thing that changes the tone the quickest is either changing guitar or changing player, because I tend to dial them all in the way I like amps to sound. It is quite good though if you want to get a stereo pair, just dial the same thing in on 2 different modules, and you get a really nice stereo spread, nice image, which is kind of cool. Joey says, can you shed some light on the U47, 67, 87 clones? What you've tried and liked? See, clones is almost a dirty word. It's a bit like amplifiers. There are only so many circuits. There's a Marshall-esque circuit, a Vox-esque circuit, a Boogie, which is again a modded Marshall, a Fender circuit. There are only so many. Like with mics, there are only so many ways to get that sound. So 47 clones. I mean, the JZ 47 is amazing. It's not 47 money, but it sounds really good. It's a really, really good mic. It's great for kick drum outside. Really, really good mic for that. 67s and 87 clones are a lot more commonplace. The warm stuff is all really, really good. There are so many mics that claim to be the next C12, the next 414, the next whatever. The Sontronic stuff I really like. The Saturn is probably my favorite. The Sontronic Saturn is by far my favorite 414-esque mic. I really like the warm WA 421, mainly because I can't afford a real 421. That's a great mic. I've got one of those. Yeah. I mean, there are so many. The JZ stuff's great. The Sontronic stuff's great. Most of the, should we call them the more boutique-y brands, JZ, Sontronics, not so much the Russian stuff. They've gone their own way. But a lot of them are saying, right, we're going to find that mic and we're going to improve on that mic. So the Saturn for me is a 414, 414, but the way it should sound. The Mercury, for example, is an affordable 67 because no one can afford a real 67. The Flea stuff is very good, but again, not cheap. The Peluso stuff is great, again, not cheap. So there are a few unknown truths about the microphone world. That there aren't that many people who make capsules. Most of them are done in China. There are a few boutique companies who make their own capsules, but not many. The Soyuz, Russian microphone manufacturer, make their own capsules, but you pay for that. You pay for that in their the bottom line. They're not cheap mics. They're just not. Yeah. Again, Joey's come back with slate modeling mic. Yes or no? Which one? I use the ML2, the small diaphragm condenser, in a very odd environment, and I love it because it gives me the functionality of being able to go, right, I'm going to put this in front of the next thing. School concerts, recording a school concert or a school orchestra concert or a school band concert, where you've got 3 or 4 bands, different lineups, different sorts of thing. That mic could, for one band, go in front of the guitar cabinet. On the next band, could go in front of a cello. For the next band, go on the flute. For the next band, go on sax. For the next band, go on acoustic guitar. I can then, in the mix later on, change the type of mic I want it to be. I use the ML1, the large diaphragm mic, on a violin live at a choral recording, because it was the mic I happened to have left. As you can imagine, I used quite a lot of mics on that gig, and it sounded great because we could tailor the tone of the mic using the model. There's nothing to stop you putting mic models onto not modeled microphones. The only thing that makes them a modeling microphone is the fact that they're flat. That does not hold up for Townsend Labs, because their software is very, very different. But there's nothing to actually stop you putting the microphone models onto non-modeling microphones. It's just an algorithm you're putting on top. Just throwing that one out there. Michael again says, I just acquired a Schultz even Model 2 Power Soak. Is this a thing? Power Soak's great because it means you can drive your amp at full tilt and not offend your neighbours. I don't know that particular one. The one that everyone used when I was a kid was the Marshall Power Brake, and it looked like a tin can type thing, like a tin box on top of your amp. But very, very usable, very, very useful. Dave Bro says, I'm reading this one because it makes me feel good. You're doing a great job, Solo. Paul had better not go on any more vacations or he might become obsolete. But I definitely miss his guitar playing. I do too. To be honest, I do too. But again, let's not tell him that we miss him too much. He'll get a big head, shiny head. Moving on. Joey says, wow, versatile. Yeah, great microphone. The ML2 is a great mic. The ML1 is a good mic as well. But for me, that's what I use the ML2s for. Small diaphragm condensers, loads of different environments, really, really handy. Wow, I've actually managed to fill out best part of an hour without embarrassing myself and without boring anybody to tears. So, blimey, we got there in the end. So I hope that was worth it. I hope it was worth me wittering on about my week, my purchases of the week and stuff. Hopefully the J Station. Paul did a video of the, I was nearly mentioning this earlier before he so rudely interrupted me. We were talking about the original pod, you know, the kind of kidney bean shaped thing. And Paul bought one and did a video of one. I preferred the J Station, the Johnson J Station. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and find one. And actually I did find one for about 70 quid that said mint boxed, which bodes well. So that's on its way this week. So hopefully I'll do a video on that and we'll do a retro guitar processor video. Hopefully it sounds as good as I remember it. There are more questions coming in now, so I'm going to go home, even though I am home. Micro Michaeli says, great thing about model microphones is being I don't know what the rest of what you're saying was. Great thing about model mics is being able to switch different polar patterns. Yes, we got there in the end. That's down there. Yes, you're right, but you can't do that with the Slate or the Antelope Edge, Solo, or Verge because they are single diaphragm. You can only do that with the Antelope Edge Duo or Quadro because they and the Townsend Labs because they've got dual diaphragms. Hopefully that helped. Joey says, oh, no. Schultz and others are good. Just be aware that they are high-low losses result of the soak. THD make a great soak. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Joey, for all your input as usual. Have to catch up when I get over there to NAMM in January. All the love's coming in now. I love it. Love it. You reading this, Paul? He's probably still watching. A great thing about model mics, I've done it already. David Bros, if Paul becomes obsolete, can you do the Boss Katana and GT videos? I do have a Boss Katana. I've done one. I've done one video and one plug-in pack. So if you like my kind of sounds, my kind of high gain, basically Clapton and Gilmour rip-off sounds, check out my preset pack on the new Studio Rats website. We've still got some work to do on the graphics and stuff, but you know, we're getting there. Yeah, Michaela says, I'm sorry, I have a Townsend. Yes, I have a Townsend, but Gary Bromham, who came onto the show, a few months ago now, probably on for a year ago, currently has it. So I'll have to get that back from him because it's a very, very cool mic and very, very useful. So we made the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Paul will be back next week. If you could just rub it in a little bit about how much you don't really miss him that much, and he's only good for his guitar playing, that will make me feel great. Keep your questions coming, keep your video suggestions coming. You know how to get hold of us. Do remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the stuff everybody else says. Also, enter that competition to win the Bosch GT1 FX processor. We also have some other competitions coming up very, very soon. Paul who? Yeah, like it. But for now, thank you for joining me. Thank you for bearing with me while I fly solo. We'll do again. We'll do our best to sort these sound problems out. So one day we'll actually be able to hear guitars and processors and stuff, and I can play you some of the tones of this thing as we go through the live show. But for now, my name's James Ivy from the Studio Rats, and we will see you again very soon. Have a good week, everyone. Take care. Lots of love, and stay safe.